Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Astral Jewels. I'm about to go through the review of the planets for March. And hasn't January and February just flown by? It's gone so fast. It'll be June before we know it. So what's going on in March? Firstly, you might want to enlarge your screen just so you can get to see these presentations a lot easier. Just bear with me as I click through the presentation folders. Okay, firstly, we've got the Sun in Aquarius. So from the 14th of February to the 13th of March, we have got the Sun in Aquarius. That was presented in the last month's live. So for those that are following or learning astronomy along with astrology, I've included the constellations and the alpha, at least the alpha star, so you can have a chance of having a look at where things are in the sky. So, all good astrologers should have a sense of where the constellations are. And it's great for you to actually tune into them as you're doing the craft of astrology. Okay, so next, this is what we've got coming up now, is Pisces. So the Sun is about to go into Pisces on the 14th of March to the 13th of April. Okay, and the alpha star that you're looking for there, I'll pronounce it wrong. It's actually a binary star, which makes like it's two stars together. So Elrisha, the star in Pisces that you're looking for. Okay, so all things Pisces. Looking at the Pisces constellations, we're looking at lower mode, delusion and illusions, vagueness, being too dreamy, off with the fairies, that type of thing. Higher mode, however, Pisces ruled by Neptune. We're looking at Neptune energy here. On its higher mode, it's high spiritual realms. It's also compassion and empathy, generosity of spirit. And higher mode is where we want to go with the Neptune. So becoming aware of your spirituality, your high spiritualness, your higher self. That's what you're looking for in terms of the Pisces energy. Okay, and not being lost in the delusion and the illusion that happens in the Pisces energy. Okay, right. Next that we're getting into is, just bear with me because I'm doing and the next slide, we're looking at the constellations, so the actual wheel we start to look at and what we've got. So I've started from the 1st of March and you can see the wheel here. Now I've got several wheels that I'm presenting, and then I'll go into the animation applet so you can see where things are moving. So we've got Mars. Have a look at the top of the wheel there. We've got Mars conjunct Venus in Capricorn. So this is where it's currently, and currently squaring Uranus and Jupiter. So we've got at the top there, we've got Mars conjunct Venus. You can see that in the constellation of Capricorn, and it's squaring Uranus and Jupiter. Uranus and Jupiter are in a conjunction there in Aries. And we've got Sun conjunct Saturn and Mercury in Aquarius. and that is in a sextile angle to Uranus and Jupiter. So there's a lot going on. And of course, we've got good old Chiron conjunct the North Node, the axis of destiny. And Chiron, of course, is to do with the wound, and hopefully the woundedness of the planet is healing. And all these movements that are going on, there's a lot of Chiron energy involved from what I can feel and what I see. There's a lot of changes, a lot of transformation going on a planetary level. And of course, as I've said many times before, it's also going to happen on a personal level and a global level. Now, don't tell me I don't have a sense of humor. And I wanted to cover the Uranus force because it is such a player in what is going on at the moment. Okay, now you're probably laughing your head off, but you know, Uranus, interestingly, it's made from ammonia and methane and water in its solid form. So you can just get a picture of how strong that energy is to be dealing with. So I just want to go about, you know, the force of Uranus can be so volatile in terms of how it's going to affect you on a personal level. Okay, you're going to feel this energy affecting all of us, right? And it's really, really strong at the moment. And interestingly, it has been for the last probably over 12 months. Uranus has had a big play in boosting shifts on the planet. Big changes are happening. So, you know, the force of Uranus, as I said, it can be really volatile, and it intends to shake the masses out of their slumber, right? And you know that it's awakening, right? And the intensity can be so electric that its impact is felt, you know, it's like a cattle prod, and you will forever be branded by its effects. So any advice needed? Move your butt or else. That's what Uranus does. That's the effect that it has on you. So at its lowest mode, its lowest vibration, you will be a participant in a frustrating war and will likely be left anxious, shattered, and weak. Can happen as a result of your interactions with any combat that involves Uranus Moon, Uranus Mars, that type of thing. So on its higher mode, however, Uranus will lead you. Its intention is to lead you to a glorious victory where freedom and humanitarian ideals combine with all manner of excitement and joy. So, you know, advice there, be brave and choose your course wisely while these energies are taking place, because it's really volatile at the moment. It really, really is volatile. So just going on to the next one, from the 15th of March. So there's little shifts going on in between the 1st and the 15th. There's some really dominant things, but it's really interesting, especially when you see the animation applet of this, of the forces involved at the moment are absolutely extraordinary. Really amazing. But, you know, a lot of people have been saying about how dramatic the shifts are going to be, you know, and they're quite exciting. But mixed in amongst the excitement and perhaps volatility, there is actually a lot of gentleness in the space and involved in shifts that are going on. So I just want to put that in the space. There's a lot of really gentle energies involved with the movement of the planets at the moment. So it's not all, doom and gloom and just, too scary. It's actually not. It's an interesting period of time with these forces, and you'll see with the animation applet down the track what that actually looks like. So again, we've got Uranus current from the 15th onward. I think it's a little bit earlier than that. We've got Uranus will be sextile Sun and square Mars. Really fiery, that one. Quite a lot of fire. And of course, Uranus is conjunct Jupiter at the moment. So that's making things even more buoyant when it comes to the Uranus energy. Okay, so sextile Sun, that's really sharp, high intelligence, vibrant, direct energy with the Uranus Sun. And Uranus Mars, that is war. That's one of those energies that are really strong and generally linked to war, because Mars is the planet of war and doing and will, and Uranus is the planet of fire. Fire, humanitarian causes, freedom fighter, rebelliousness, all of that comes into play. So when it's coming up with the Sun, it's basically the voltage is higher. It's much higher. So the Sun, again, sextile Uranus, so that's full on. And conjunct Neptune. So the Sun and Neptune, that combination is absolutely beautiful. And this is where we have the volatile and the gentle, or there are different ways of looking at this, because when I say gentle, it's like it's assuming that a Sun Neptune doesn't have a strong force to it. It does. It actually has on its higher mode. We're looking at high spiritual forces involved here, and they're likely to ride this energy for the betterment of the planet. A Uranus Mars, for example, can be all over the place, even though Uranus is for humanitarian causes on its higher mode. When it's on lower mode, it's like anything goes, and it's just, it can be like a war. With Neptune energy, the Sun is putting, it's putting a lot of vibrancy into the Neptune, and it generally turns it upward into a higher mode. And as I said, it's high spiritual forces that are involved here. So when I say gentle, I'm making it sound like I'm assuming that high spiritual forces are, soft and passive. They're actually not. They can be very, very intense. But that energy is absolutely beautiful. So in amongst the fire of the Uranus Mars, for example, and there's a lot going on in Aquarius, as we can see. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, so the voltage is lifted, it's higher. So having the Sun and Neptune, that helps to balance that really volatile, fiery force. Okay. We've also got Saturn conjunct Venus, and Saturn is sextile Jupiter. That Saturn and Jupiter is helping to balance something that could be just too expansive. Saturn is giving it some structure, making sure that it's directed where it needs to go. Jupiter can get out of control. It can enlarge things to a massive level, and it's good to have a bit of Saturn structure and seriousness in the whole mix. So Saturn here is giving some added structure to some really volatile energies, right? Making sure things don't get too out of control. Okay, and Saturn Venus is a beautiful combination. It's giving structure to the desired nature of the Venus energy. You know, Venus is all about passion and desire. And when you add Saturn to it, it really gives it some structure. So it can end up being a really beautiful energy. We've got Mercury conjunct our North Node, so that's the axis of destiny, so it's where we're heading, and also Chiron the wound. So we've got some, communication going on in terms of, the woundedness that we are enduring. Now, remember, that's on a personal level as well as a global level. So Mercury, communication, you can look at that, on a global level as mainstream media or the media at large being involved here. And there are shifts going on. There's more communication coming out about what is going on in the world. Things that have been hidden are being revealed. So there's more of that. So on a personal level, your communication in terms of what it is that you need to break free and break out of any restrictions that you have been under, and bringing yourself out in the world. That is what's on the cards. We've also got Pluto sextile Neptune, which has been going on for a long time. Pluto's not playing a huge role at the moment in terms of other planets. It's not mixed up with what it was last month, particularly with the Mars, Venus, etc. But it's still a major player. Don't ever underestimate what Pluto does. So with Neptune, we have got a restructuring going on of our delusion and the illusion that we've been going through over, such a long time, years and years, hundreds of years, basically. We've been under the delusion of what we thought was the truth, when we're now finding out that it's all lies. But when you take on board higher modes here of Pluto and Neptune, we got Pluto the transformer, and it's affecting Neptune. And Neptune is heralding in a massive spiritual awakening. And that's also involving Uranus. The Uranus energy is extremely awakening. So be aware of that, that the Neptune energy heralding in high spiritual forces, and there are a lot of people that are awakening and who have awakened to some level of spiritual recognition of themselves and the world at large, and the need for spirituality, and understanding that it's all about, the inner work, which is what is really, really necessary. So also we've got Mars in Aquarius, and that's adding a lot of fire. Mars in Aquarius ruled by Uranus. So what we've got here is a Uranus-Mars force, very, very fiery. It basically means war. But look at it from the standpoint of a war in order for us to get into a more humanitarian level of being. That's the higher mode. Lower mode, it would just be another war with guns and weapons, etc., just like we have in the past. Now, it was interesting, I was speaking to someone a few days ago about how there has been a time window open for quite a long time, several years, where war in its heights could have broken out here. And I'm talking about the Uranus energy, Uranus in Aries, and now we've got Mars in Aquarius. So that's like a double whammy of this Mars force and this fire. But we have had the opportunity for major war breakouts in the past. And even though we've got what's been happening in the Ukraine and also what's happening over in Gaza, in Israel, it could be a lot worse. And primarily this war is psychological. It's more psychological than it is about guns and bombs and tanks and mass murder of millions of people. It's more about psychology. So that's something to, just bear in mind, because otherwise, had it been a full-out war, I seriously think that it would have been nuclear and we would have been kicked off the planet by now, getting closer and closer to extinction. So I think we've avoided something major, really, really major. But even so, with the psychological war, it has been and still is quite painful for a lot of people. And it's doing people's heads in. Definitely is. So moving forward, we've got, well, as I said, the Sun goes conjunct Neptune from the 17th of March onward. I think that's going to be a really beautiful period in amongst some volatile energy. It's up and down, guys. It's not one or the other. And it can depend on where you're situated and what you choose to tune into, but be aware of these high forces that are in play in the background. And for some, it's not the background, it's the foreground. Okay, now we've got a lunar eclipse on the 25th of March. It will be visible at around 7 p.m. in Sydney, but it's probably too light to get a really good look at what's going on. We're still in daylight saving in Australia. So what major effect that will have, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Interestingly, the 27th of March is when things actually really start heating up with, there's a full conjunction occurring just after the lunar eclipse. Okay, so what I want to do here is just show you, if I can, just a sec. I'm going to go into that. Just going to go remove that applet. Hello again. And we're going to go into an animation applet. So again, you might want to enlarge your screen so you can see what's going on here while I play around with this marvelous little piece of machinery here. So I'm starting from the 1st of March and just watch these planets move. And just watch this, the left-hand side from Capricorn all the way down to Aries, or the bottom of Pisces. All right, we're seeing the movement. Now we start off with Mars and Venus in a conjunction in Capricorn. And this is this massive push for this desire. It's a push for a desire of what it is that you want. Right, now this is you needing also to be a player in the game. You need to be a player in the changes that are happening. And remember, as I've said, Pluto is this massive transformer. And so much of what we rest on, our structures need to be changed, right? Now, having Mars and Venus in Capricorn as well is helping with you being part of thinking about what it is that you want with our new structures. We know education's got to go down, big ag, big pharma, all of these things, the medical model, everything that we rest on has to go through a level of change. But don't wait around for things to happen for you and for someone else to do it. You need to be a part of the action. What is it that you want to happen? So here, Mars and Venus play a part in that. So what's happening is you're getting a heightened level of desire, where you may get, you may just sit and start to think about what is it that you want? What are your desires? Right? And put that in the mix, because global and personal. Global and personal. Don't keep thinking it's always going to happen outside of you. Like I said before, you'll get the default position if you don't play a part in it, and you also have to change here. So you're getting another push to see what it is that you want in your life. What do you desire? And Mars is going to give you the will to start making that happen. Okay, so just be aware of that, that conjunction of Mars and Venus, because it relates to you as well. And we keep moving along. See what's going on in Aquarius. Things are getting closer and closer. We had a Saturn-Sun conjunction around early March, and that's also adding to a lot of structure. Saturn is all about structuring things. And remember, Aquarius, it's also to do with your friends and acquaintances, your communities and the groups that you're around. So this is getting a big hit at the moment as well. I've spoken about this before, and you're likely to go through a phase where you're thinking about who you want in your environment, and friends, even family. What is it that you want or don't want in your environment? That is on the cards. And it can, because it is in Aquarius, create a bit of conflict, because, as I've said, Uranus rules Aquarius. So change is not always easy for many people, and it's often conflict that is creating that change. So that could be part of what actually goes on here. Okay, we keep going around. Now, Venus moves out of Capricorn and into Aquarius around the 8th of March. And we've got Mercury goes into Pisces. Now, it also is conjunct Neptune as well as the Sun. So we've got a lot of communication going on from the 8th onwards, a little bit before that. I think it's been going on for quite a while. I've said that in several lives from, I think, November right through to now. There's a lot of communication, a lot of negotiation. There's a lot of things going on in terms of, court cases, the movement itself, the truth movement, and what needs to be taken out, right? And interestingly, we've just had, with Jacob Rothschild has just passed over. So that's going to be a big change. I think it's going to herald in a big change to the banking environment, at least. So what's going on there? That's fascinating. That's really interesting. And we've also seen, the horses, the black horse outside Buckingham Palace. So there's something going on there. Now, it could have alluded to Jacob Rothschild himself. However, it could also relate to Prince Charles, who is currently quite ill. He has cancer. So let's see what happens there. But again, major changes to the environment going on with all of these planets in Aquarius. Okay, I'll keep going forward. See how the planets are moving. Moving. And here we have Mars is almost in, okay, from there. From the 17th of March, Mars goes into Aquarius. We've got Venus and Saturn conjunct in Aquarius. Then we've got the Sun and Neptune conjunct in Pisces. And we've got Mercury and the North Node. And missing on this applet, sadly, is Chiron. So we can't forget that Chiron is involved here. We've got Uranus squaring Mars, so it's keeping the fire going. Anything could happen. Anything could happen. Very fiery month of March, mixed with some really beautiful energies. This is what's going to be a little bit confusing for some people. Okay, we keep going. See the movement, see how it's moving along. Okay. The 25th, we've got a big conjunction starting here with Neptune, the Sun, the North Node, Mercury, and of course Chiron is in amongst that as well. So when you get a major alignment going on like this, look at that, 27th. Look at the 27th. All of those planets are joined to each other. So it's a massive alignment in the sky going on there, guys. Massive. What's going to happen on the 27th? When you've got major, like a lot of planets and they're all aligned like this and they're clustered in, in constellations like Aquarius, or even, it wouldn't matter which constellation it was, you're going to get a mixture of forces. And for some, it's going to be this massive confusion. It's like this dumping of all this energy because you don't know what to do with it because it's all mixed in together and it's difficult to separate them out. So there's a force going on right there. 27th of March. Mark that on your calendar. See what goes down. Woo! This is going to be exciting. Exciting times, right? And that's just after the lunar eclipse. So often when you have a lunar eclipse, things involute. They can get passive because the moon's not shining, right? The moon's been hidden. And then all of a sudden, it emerges. So the emergence that happens after this lunar eclipse is this alignment. So what's coming? Be intense. If nothing else, it's going to be intense in terms of energies. So just be really aware of how you feel whilst all of this is going on, right through to the end of March. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting it's going to be. Okay. So there we go with the applet. And we're going to go back into the slides and looking at what's going on with the new moon and the full moon. So we've got on the 10th of March. Now remember, I'm a sidereal astrologer, so it's going to be different to the tropical by 23.4 degrees, as I've said before. So on the 10th of March, we've got the new moon in Aquarius, and it gives an impulse for aligning to your own self, it can be a period of expecting the unexpected, because Aquarius and Uranus are involved with that. So it could be a fairly awakening new moon. And maybe that's something that you want to aspire for, getting out of the boredom that you've been in and, you know, get a life. You know, they say that, get a life. And then we've got the full moon in Virgo on the 25th of March. And remember, Mercury is the ruler of Virgo. So you may, you know, anticipate a restless night's sleep because your mind is likely to be active because of the mercurial energy. But interesting, you know, we've just had the Aquarius. Was it an Aquarius full moon that we've just had? No, it was no, it's not. No, the last full moon, it was like I was expecting not to sleep at all, and I did, and it was amazing. So I can't pick what is going to happen in terms of the lunar energies, in terms of my sleeping patterns, because basically I'm not sleeping much at all, which is happening to a lot of people at the moment. And I am going to blame the Uranus force on that, because it is so shaky and it makes you really, really alert. And it's like your mind doesn't rest, because it's always it's always alert and sharp, and the information age is getting us very attentive on all the information that's going on. So it's not helping with sleep patterns. So I think we really have to put some thought, interestingly, into how we're going to navigate the whole sleep issues that we've got. You know, how are we going to navigate the information age in terms of our sleeping pattern, because it affects our health, and it can be quite detrimental if you're not getting enough sleep. So take naps during the day if you need. I have a yoga nidra recording available on my website, which you can use. So it's a 30-minute nap that you can take and to rest your body. I highly recommend that as a way of helping to nurture and regenerate your energy, you know, especially if you are having trouble with getting a lot of sleep, right? So it doesn't just happen to menopausal women, it's happening to so many people at the moment. So just bear that in mind. Okay, and lastly, we're looking at the retrograde planets. And hello, no retrogrades for March. We have none, which I think, considering what's been going on, is good. We've got enough. We've got enough to contend with. We don't need to worry about intense retrograde planets, especially when we've got that alignment going on at the end of March, which should be really, really interesting to feel. Some of you, like, by all means, get out there and have a look. You'll see them all lined up in the sky, so that should be a good visual. Use your third eye. It makes things even more intense, more sharp when you're using your third eye. And interestingly, when you do stargazing, it can actually activate your third eye, sharpens it, it hones it. And for some, you could get an awakening with your third eye by doing stargazing. It's very, very, very good for you to do that. Okay, so there we go for March, guys. I hope it's a good month for you. I do hope there's a lot of changes that occur. There are many of us that have been waiting for a lot of changes to happen. So it is a bit like almost anything could happen with that Uranus. I think they've been holding back a lot. As I said, a lot of things we've had a big time window with the Uranus energy, and I'm amazed at how things have been held so that it's, World War III didn't get as bad as it could have. Okay, but it's not over yet. It's not quite over yet. So let's see what goes on. For those that are having trouble, you're going through massive changes in your psychology, and you're going through massive changes in terms of your environment. So there's people that have their marriages have split up. Some people have, they can't hold down a job. Many different things are happening to people as they struggle through these changes. It's really difficult. Almost every person that you speak to has got something that's going on, right? And a lot of it is quite difficult. Change is something that people don't often like, but it is happening, and we can't stop it. The only thing you can do is be a part of it and be aware of it and navigate it as well as you can. And, thankfully at the moment, we're going to look forward to a beautiful Sun-Neptune energy that's really going to help and put out for the help that we need from these high spiritual beings. Okay. So thank you, guys. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, thumbs up, all of that if you've actually enjoyed what you've heard and you're learning things from what I am passing to you. And in terms of the planetary review, I will see you again next month. Okay, bye for now. Bye, everybody.